Today, Dr. Gordon Moonstone, our chief forensic scientist, is going to be looking at the remaining evidence and showing us what clues it can reveal as to the identity of the murderer.
I'm going to have a look at the handwriting at the bottom of the blackmail note. Now, what we got our suspects to do was to fill in a form and copy out the wording that was written on there. This is obviously some of the words and letters the same as in the blackmail note there. And then we will compare the letter formation on the suspect's sample writing here with the sample from the blackmail note. So here we have the written part of the blackmail note, and we're going to compare it with the samples of handwriting that we've taken from our suspects. So first of all, let's have a look at the A's. Here we have a straight back with a curved front to it. And if we compare it with our suspect's A's here, we can see the best matches at the top with this suspect here. If we have a look at the F, we have curved top, straight back on this one, on the note. The one at the bottom here is curved top and bottom. This one's quite loopy. This one here is quite different as well, with the loop at the bottom. And the top one here is fairly similar to the blackmail note. We'll have a look at the E's. In here we've got an upwards loop on the E. And again, this would tend to match our top one here. You can see a couple of examples. This one's fairly straight here, this one's fairly straight, and slightly upwards again on the bottom one here. Now finally we'll have a look at the D, which you can see has got a distinctive loop on the back of it. Nothing in this one or this one. Loops on this D here, not so much on that one. And again, if we look at the top one, we do have some loops present on the D's here as well. Now this would lead me to conclude that the best match for the handwriting is suspect number 4. Now the final piece of evidence that we're going to have a look at is the plant material that we have collected from the suspect's clothing. Now there's some very interesting things in the hedges there. We have goosegrass, which has seeds and leaves which attach themselves to the fur of animals usually, but that sticks to clothing quite nicely. And we also have some brambles. We might find some thorns or bits of leaves from those in there as well. So we'll have a look and see what we can find out. Suspect number 1, we managed to find these goosegrass seeds on their clothing. And we also managed to find a couple of bramble thorns that were lodged in it as well. The only other suspect with any plant material on their clothes was number 2, where we found some more of these goosegrass seeds, some cobwebs, and also some other bits of plant material that were stuck to the clothing. Now that Dr. Gordon Moonstone has finished analysing all the evidence for us, we can put it all together on this chart. As you can see, we have all the types of evidence listed at the top here from the scene of the crime, and then down the side we've got our various suspects. Now, once we've filled this in with what we found from the various tests, we hopefully will have some evidence pointing towards one of our suspects being guilty.
Now we'll have a little look at the timeline. This shows us what the suspects were up to before the professor was killed, up until the time his body was discovered the next morning. And we've got that on the computer here.
So on the timeline here, you can see the time of death marked at the top here. We've got our suspects listed down the side, the times along here, and then in the middle, what they said they were doing at those particular times. Now this goes right up to the time the body was discovered, which we have got here at the end here. And there are various times when their alibis are quite secure, at the start and at the end. If we go back this end a little, we'll see the alibis here are quite strong. However, the most likely time of death and the murder is around this point here, between 11 and 3.
So that was all the clues and evidence we had at this stage, but it was enough for us to work out what was going on. So see if you can work out who done it before we reveal in the final instalment the identity of the murderer. Until then, good night, take care of yourselves.